whole carcass breakdown. This is a whole side. So first, we're going to do some acid treatment, some antimicrobial acid to kill anything that we may not see. Let that sit overnight. Put on gloves. There's that hind quarter. Maybe a different one. I don't know. I'm going to start by removing the flank primal. Get that big glob of fat off with the flank primal. Within the flank primal, you have your flank steak, of course. You have your bavette or your flat steak. And then you have your third skirt, which is a continuation of the inside skirt. Set that aside. Now I'm going to remove the tri-tip. If I was on the East Coast, we wouldn't harvest this. And depending on the cut sheet, I may not harvest it either to a customer specification. Maybe they want it into stew or grind or something. Then I would just do a straight cut through the knuckle, going through this muscle. This muscle is one of my least favorites to break, because there is seams that hug and go different ways in the carcass. So now, cutting alongside the tenderloin, exposing the head of the tenderloin, going around, get a nice pull, set that aside. So you loosen up the head, get a pull, do a straight cut. See where you remove the tri-tip so we don't cut it in half. It was still on, it would be cut in half right there. Right now I'm removing the knuckle or the sirloin tip, trying to get a nice edge mark on the side underneath this bone skin. Get a good wrench there. And you got a nice good seam in between the bottom round, and the bottom round and the knuckle, which I'm following there. Then I'm going to give it the people's elbow. Get that bone exposed. Now, I'm going to cut using a well saw and separate the drop loin from the rest of the round. It's running away from me, but I caught up to it. Luckily I have a 4/4 there. Get it hanging. Grab my breaking knife. Boom. It's a little aggressive, sorry about that. That's how I roll. Now I'm going to take the whole round off with the bottom, eye, and top as one piece. I recently switched because of the place I work now, where I take the bottom off first, then the eye off later. Or the eye and the bottom together on the gooseneck. And I prefer it that way now. It was just how they were breaking, so I just had to get used to doing it their way. I'll send a video of that. Hopefully in the future here, as I struggle to get through this joint. There we go. Alright. Take off my gloves so I can turn off. Oh, now 4/4. I have the hook hanging in the plate section, or your short plate, and I am cutting down the ribeye all the way through the chuck, and I start off 2 inches off the eye on the top, and then I start off with 2 fingers close to the neck bone. Give me that nice hang. Count off 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 on the chuck, leaving 7 on the export. Using my well saw, I'm going to cut through there, through the bone, then I'm going to knife the rest. This is, breaking a 4/4, there's about 3 different ways to do it. This is my favorite way, but it's also the way I use the least often, but this way works really well when working by yourself. I'm going to take the export off, set it aside for further processing. Now where I work, we just separate the chuck and foreshank. Then that goes all on the cut block to be ran through a bandsaw and separated. So right now I'm taking the 5-bone chuck, which is rare that you haven't seen one of these unless I've cut them. But you used to be able to get these in supermarkets all the time. So separating at the top of the foreshank there, in between the scapula and the forearm. Alright. Now I'm going to remove the clod coming underneath that petite tender, getting the clod and the whole foreshank off, just leaving the cross plate and the cross rib with the brisket and navel still on the rail. Boom. Now I'm separating the brisket, removing the brisket off on the rail. Again, if you're feeding a bunch of butchers, maybe this isn't the best way to do it, but when you're by yourself and going, and the only person you have to worry about having product is you, then I would recommend this way. Because you can essentially take off one piece, work through it, and etc. You don't have to worry about crowding your block. Separating that brisket. And then that piece that's hanging up, that's where you would get your flanken. And your short ribs, and up there on the short plate is where you get your fatty short ribs and your skirt steak. Cut through there, and I'm just going to use leverage to separate those joints. Beautiful. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thank you.